Olympic fever well and truly with us here on SEN, and it's one of those sports that captures our attention every 4 years, or every 2 years really, when you include the Commonwealth Games, is hockey. The Kookaburras and the Hockeyroos have done us so proud at many Olympic Games, and they promise to carry the flag again in Tokyo 2020. And one of those men that knows what it's like to taste success at an Olympic Games is Mark Knowles from Hockey Australia, and he joins me now. Mark, good morning to you. It seems strange, doesn't it, after all the drama we've had in the last 18 months around the world, we're only a couple of days away from our Hockeyroos and Kookaburras getting into action.
We are, mate. Thank you very much for having me. But after the excitement of the announcement of Brisbane 2032, the runway begins. It's an 11-year runway, but we also have a 2-day runway into the start of the Tokyo Olympics, and hopefully a great 10 days for our Hockeyroos and Kookaburras.
Mark, how have both the men and the women coped with the delay and coped with the fact that they haven't been able to have the preparation, I would imagine, with international competition that would normally happen in the lead up to an Olympic Games?
Oh, it's certainly been a challenge. I think one of the things that both national programs have been speaking about is, for a period there, it was the same for all. So we actually talked about using, the training environment, being fairly healthy and free in Australia as a competitive advantage. That was certainly our approach last year, was to not think about everything that we're missing, but more an extra 12 months of prep in Australia, in a great training environment in Perth, more time together. So very much trying to make it as positive as possible. This year has been more of a challenge because the European teams especially have opened up and played a lot more matches. And our challenge has been just getting some competition. So both teams, finally got some international training and competition with New Zealand in the Trans-Tasman and then back in Perth for the Pro League. So we've had 5 or 6 matches, but if you look on the other side, the Europeans have played their European champs. That's 5 or 6 of the men's and women's top 10 teams in the world playing in that comp. They've had training camps in Spain where they've been playing matches. So the disadvantage is that they've had more matches than us. The advantage, I believe, and I reckon it's a real advantage, is that teams in the past have gotten used to playing against the Kookaburras and the Hockeyroos tempo and energy and aggression, and they've found ways to pick us apart. Now, they've been playing against slower, more structured European teams constantly, and then the Hockeyroos and the Kookaburras are going to hit them in the face in the first couple of games. And I think that is our competitive advantage right now, is that teams just haven't got used to our speed and power.
Interesting. Now, the men are in action first. They play Saturday. Their pool, Australia, Argentina, India, Spain, New Zealand and Japan. And we take on the hosts, Japan, first up. What can we expect?
Yeah, what an amazing start. To be the first game of the Olympics against the host nation is something that, in some ways I reckon you dream of. So the Kookaburras are really well prepared. They're an absolute world-class team. The Japanese provide a real physical threat to the Kookers. We think, that we're well prepared and we train hard. What we've seen of Japan in the last couple of years is they're absolute physical beasts. So they're going to really try and stick it up to the Kookaburras in terms of the speed they play. They're going to play a lot of one-on-one competitions and try and outwork and outmuscle. So the Kookaburras' real quality will need to be their ball handling, because they know if they let themselves down with the ball, the Japanese can pounce. And then the big threat, obviously, that the Kookaburras pose, but also Japan, is the penalty corner threat in men's hockey is quite significant. So both circles in attack and defence is going to be, parts of the game where it can be won. But what a thrill to play the first game of an Olympics against the home country. And I know, speaking to the boys this week, they're ready to jump out of bed on Saturday morning, hit the turf at 10:30, Eastern Standard Time, and and get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great honour, as we had with our softballers and our footballers, the Matildas, to start the competition as well. So that's the men. What about the women's competition? Let's have a look at that as well. The Hockeyroos, they're in Pool B with Argentina, New Zealand, Spain, China and Japan. And they start on Sunday morning where they take on Spain.
Yeah, they do. This is a really good match for the Hockeyroos. Spain would be a team, I reckon, in the last couple of years, the Hockeyroos would have thought they can certainly get over. As I said, I think more of an advantage for the Spanish girls team is that they've got to play lots of matches. They played 7 matches, 2 or 3 weeks ago in the European Champs, absolute highest level they can get. They've just had the Dutch and the Germans over in Spain playing international matches, in acclimatisation and training camps in Spain. So they're probably better prepared than they would have been, certainly last year or in the years gone past. The Hockeyroos go in. We know some of the information around the Hockeyroos in the past, 6 months or so, but they certainly go in as a team, really well united at the moment, led by Trini Powell, the new coach, our first female coach since the late 80s. She's brought a new dimension to the Hockeyroos, and I think the girls, from what I'm hearing from their camp, they're well prepared, they're feeling good, and they know this is a challenge that they have to hit face on. So 11 a.m. Sunday morning, set your alarms if you're going to have a rest on Sunday morning to jump up and watch the Hockeyroos in their first match.
Oh, it's all so exciting. We've waited a long time, Mark. Thank you so much for your time today. We will be catching up regularly throughout the games. We wish our Hockeyroos and the Kookaburras all the best, and thanks very much for chatting with us.
No drama. Thanks very much for having me, guys.
Mark Knowles there. The Hockeyroos and Kookaburras are going for gold at the Olympics. Check out the Hockey Australia website for ways to watch all the matches and where you can play. Then see our world-class Australian hockey stars on home soil in the Hockey One League. Buy your tickets today at hockey1.com.au. Go Australia.